right. Welcome, Jim Steinmeyer, to Inventing Magic, episode 5.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate you doing this. This whole thing exists because of you.
Well, not really. But yeah, but we're responsible for putting it in Genie, and that's all great. And we talked about the possibility of doing something, and you said you suggested this, and as I recall, the first thing I said to you was, "We don't subsidize for mental health bills."
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But you figured out a way. You figured out some way that you're doing this, so that all works.
It's all a ruse to have an excuse to finally get to jam with you creatively. So the day has arrived.
Okay.
The
All
jig is up.
right.
All right, we'll
That's
do this for 1 hour. I have
okay.
my phone timer here.
Got it.
I will set a timer for us so that we stick to it, and I'll keep us posted as we go.
Okay, good.
And we have started. This is amazing. You are in a room that looks like it is filled with books. Is this your office?
Yeah, it's an office. It's got books around of different subjects, and I've got space to work and space to draw stuff, and kind of, it's one of those rooms where you can make a mess and then get up and walk out of it.
Great. I am in the exact same room in my
Yeah,
house.
yeah, that's kind of necessary. Yeah.
This is great. And I thought we could just start from scratch and talk about whatever and whenever, and we can talk about it for as long as we want or bounce around. Or you also said we talked briefly right before we started recording that you had some stuff in mind, which was no one's done this yet. They were like ideas that where they hadn't necessarily been finished in your mind. That's also a fun place to start jamming always.
I would say that that's like the story of my life.
That's so funny.
I worked with a guy at Disney who a really fantastic artist, no, Rolly Crump, who said that he had been buying books all his life, and he said when I retire, I read the books.
Oh, that's great.
And of course, he'd been buying them and using them actively. But
Yep.
you use it and then you put it on the shelf.
Yes.
And I do feel like, my goal is to get to a point where I can go back through ideas and like fix them finally,
Totally.
finish them, fix them, all that stuff where you're tormented by you got half an idea for something and you go, God, if I could only finish that. And that
Yes.
to finally sit down and do that without other projects.
Having a body of unfinished ideas or idea starters is very helpful. Especially, I learned that early on. I got to work with Danny Garcia
Yeah.
early on projects, and he would just spout endless amounts of ideas
Yeah.
that for different clients necessarily wouldn't bite.
Right.
But then I'd remember them and we'd all write them down. And for the next client or the next project, he would regurgitate something that everybody had said no to.
Yeah.
And everybody thought he is a genius. I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
No, no, but that's part of being a genius is processing that stuff
yes,
and keeping track of it.
yes,
Keeping track of it. And because the other thing is over the time it changes.
yes,
Over the time your recollection of it, you've now dropped another little bit of information into it. So
yes.
keeping track of that stuff is just like super important. Yeah.
And the more you work on, probably the more you forget. I remember,
Yeah.
you've worked a lot with Copperfield. I got to work with him for 1 year. And in that time, he would say stuff like, we would mention old tricks of his that he had done. And he would say, I honestly don't remember how that one worked. And we thought he was messing with us. But now
Right.
the longer I'm doing it, the more I know he wasn't necessarily messing with us.
No, I get it. I mean, it's really amazing. I have some friends who, like know how do I, well, I'll just say it, know my stuff better than I know my stuff.
Yes, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
And we'll go, well, why aren't you doing it like that? And I go, like what? And
Remind me how that works.
yeah, right. Was that a good trick?
What what
Uh,
what book of mine was that in?
yeah, right, right.
That's so funny.
So
That's a
yeah, so
whole other
that does
level
happen.
that you are at if that's happening. That's-
Yeah, just roll with it. Just roll with it. You'll
yeah.
get there.
Well, this is really fun. Whatever we talk about today, we'll go in Genie magazine. And so, as we
Okay.
mentioned too, we're gonna try to keep it to stuff, smaller stuff, or stuff
Yep.
that everybody might have access to. Whereas some of the prolific things you've worked on might not be available to everybody.
And they take a lot of time. I
Yes.
take a lot of time with stuff. That's my little caveat.
I have
I
a
mean, I've done
question.
stuff fast.
I have a
Of course,
question
you
for
have
you.
where
For
you're
some
under
of
pressure. But man, I actually like, I realized a few years ago, I actually like slow down at the end of an idea.
Uh-huh.
because I worry that like racing over the finish line is when you make mistakes.
Ooh, yes.
Like when you almost think it's done, that's
Yes.
when you're making the wrong judgments. And so very often I'll be very close to something and I'll close the notebook and I'll like leave it for a few minutes
Yeah.
if I can, because you go, this now like percolating on it is when you get all the fine points in.
Mm-hmm.
Because
That's
otherwise you
really
go, oh, we just
smart.
have to do this and this and this and it's over. And that's like when a trick falls apart,
That's
is
really
is
interesting.
like racing to the judgments. So I like love taking time.
Yeah. Well, with some of the things that you've worked on being so big, are there smaller versions of them that you work on to work out the kinks of necessarily like a routine or something whereas a smaller version would be easier to test, or some of the things you just have to
Well,
test big?
I have little cardboard models of stuff on my shelf that are things that we test in model form,
Mm-hmm.
some principle that we're looking at. And that's incredibly helpful. And
Yes.
it's incredibly helpful showing it to somebody because then they see the limitations of it.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know that that stuff always translates. It's not like you can take an illusion and build a smaller version of it and then
Good point.
like you put a crystal box together and your dog comes out. That's not necessarily a great trick. And I think all those things have their own integrity to them. So,
Yes. I was also wondering, like, how many things you've worked on or principles with big boxes would actually, not boxes,
yeah,
that's
but
like
apparatus.
oversimplifying stuff, but
Yeah.
bigger props would necessarily translate to like a card box or to something that would fit in your pocket, or does a lot of the time it
I,
kind of rely on being big?
I think it doesn't often, but I
Yeah.
also think that those presentations strangely do. Like
Mm-hmm.
a strong presentation or a strong premise for something is like a strong premise.
Yeah.
It's like if it works on stage, that's like a help to. I mean, one of the things I really do is like they're really crummy tricks in magic, but they're beloved. They're
Mm-hmm.
beloved crummy tricks in magic.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I'm always conscious of is like fixing those things
Yes.
because we know from past experience why those are good.
It must be good for a reason.
It's
Yes.
good for a reason, and yet we also know after years of experience what's wrong with it. And I
Yes.
would say like one of mine in that category, people disagree with me, is a six-card repeat,
Ooh.
which is just completely pointless. It's just the more you look at that trick, it just means nothing. And in
Right.
fact, the guy who invented it, Tommy Tucker, I knew, and Tommy said that he invented it to demonstrate the false count. Did it
Oh,
only to demonstrate the false count to magicians. And they loved that trick, the repetition of that trick so much and thought it was so funny that everyone started doing it.
that
And
premise makes sense.
it was really to demonstrate that glide false count that he did. And it's just like anyway, so like there's a trick that needs to be fixed because
Mm-hmm.
nothing's happening during it. It feels like it's a short change trick somehow.
Mm-hmm.
It probably should be done with bills, but the
Yep.
mechanical versions of it that have been done with bills are just awful. The apparatus is awful.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to feel lighter. It needs to feel like a sleight of hand piece. It needs to have a plot that feels like it's shortchanging. You
Mm-hmm.
have to kind of go, I don't know what this is that this person's doing.
Right.
So it just needs like it needs to be goosed.
Yes.
So yeah,
Goosed
there
is
are
a great word.
lots of tricks like that.
I love that one. The way you're wording this was one of the biggest tips I ever heard from Kenner. Gave me
Mhm.
a great advice one time. He said, if you're ever stuck creatively, pick a trick that you hate and write down all the reasons why you hate it, and then
Yeah,
fix those reasons, and then you might end up with a new trick.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And very often there are things in there. The reason it's still around is because there are things that are like addictive and great.
So what is the thing about the six card repeat that people, because it's just so easy to regurgitate for a layman just to say they just kept coming, or
It's no, it's the repetition of the joke,
Mhm.
which is which it doesn't take anyone funny to do.
Right.
Just
I threw two
I'm gonna
away and I still had
Yeah, yeah. And so I went to the magic shop and I said, "Do you have the trick with one, two, three, four, five, six cards, and you
right.
throw away one, two, three, and you still have one, two, three left?" And he says, "No, we don't have the trick with one, two, three, four, five, six cards where you throw away one, two, three, and you still have one." And at this point, everybody's laughing, and because it's so stupid. And of course, like instantly, bang. That's why everyone's drawn to it. There are tricks. I would just say there are tricks and situations that that are magical, no pun intended, because they make the person funny when the person's not funny.
Right.
And the six card repeat is like that. The guillotine routine, cutting off somebody's head, which
Yeah.
is hard to do today because you just don't abuse spectators that way. But like all of those gags, you could really take someone who was not funny and have them deliver that patter, and it
Yes.
was hilarious.
But then you give it to a really funny person.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, no, it's completely different.
Yeah,
But
totally.
but the situation is strong enough, and the gags are strong enough, and like the six card repeat is one of those things. It's just a
I've seen it done with bills before. I know I have, but
yeah.
has anyone ever done it with like bad version of it is like $100 bill, and then as you count it, it turns into 250s or
The other thing is it super needs a finish,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
also like I have here because I used them for something about a year ago for Conjuring and Genie. I have Monopoly money,
Ooh.
which is really amazing. Like it's amazing. It's very close to playing card size.
Size.
It's
Yeah.
incredibly cheap paper. But the other thing is that everybody knows it.
Yep.
Like you just see it and you get it. You get exactly where that's from and you know exactly what it is. And I
Instantly.
think that probably there's something, I don't know that for this trick, but I think there's really great stuff to be done with bills. I think the problem is we can see what just happened in the UK when they went to plastic bills.
Hmm.
Everything was turned upside down. Magicians didn't know what they were doing because because the bills weren't folding the way they used to fold.
Right.
So, we're always at the whim of that kind of stuff with stuff like that. But like these are great props, and I
Yep.
just had done a little false count routine, a little short change routine for Genie using this, and I had to get these, and they're really great. They're really great little things.
Well, what's also nice with anything prop wise like that, with the dollar bill or euro or card, you are married to a specific dimension or it has to end up back at that size. With Monopoly money, I feel like you probably get a little bit of leeway because
Yeah,
there's a slight variation in every set.
you could very easily enlarge these
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm
something
saying.
comfortable, and they feel just fine.
Yeah.
And we're of course we're just waiting in the US. Every other country has bills of different sizes. So a 20 is a different size than a 10, is a different size than a 5. So that'll happen here
Hmm.
because it helps to identify the bills.
That
So
makes total sense.
yeah, so of course all that's going to just throw us for a loop.
Well, that would be, I mean, for American bills, the thing that would make sense is like a 20 being counted to four fives, and then you
Yeah.
throw three fives away, and then you take the five and you count it into five ones. And then as far as an ending, I mean, the bad version is like a one turning into 100 pennies or something, where it's like,
Yeah, it needs like that's interesting you say that because it would be neat to do like if the person was giving you change for a 20
yes,
was 5, 10, 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
yes,
And I said, "Oh, thank you very much. Here's $2 for your help." And he still had 5, 10, 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
yeah,
And he said, "Didn't you give me $2?" And I went, "Yeah. Did you lose them? Here's another $2." And then you go 1, 2, 3. So that ostensibly you're counting change. Essentially something's happening.
yeah.
And then maybe, what the blow off is that all those bills like change into something else or are blank
I've
or
never seen that done before, like asking a spectator to come up on stage that has a $20 bill, and then you do the whole routine back and forth with the person would
right.
be interesting.
Would be really interesting. And quick change, not quick change. That's what I said before. Short change stuff is really interesting to people because they all know it exists and they all know that it's somehow related to what a magician does, but they don't
Yeah.
know exactly how. Yeah,
Or it's like a superpower that people feel like they would want to have as a magician.
right,
It's like,
right,
or like a nefarious.
right. I could count $10 and make it look like $20,
Yeah.
and I'd
Yeah.
be rich. Yeah,
But watching it happen is kind of like that Three Stooges skit with the you owe me $20 or whatever, $10. Well, you owe me $20. Well, here's the 10 I owe you.
right,
Like watching that visually is so interesting.
right.
Well, that's
And
cool.
there are a number of those short change things that are exactly that, that are all about, but give me back the original money. So, and what was it? And they really are kind of like all up in your head. It's like you can't quite follow what's going on. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. There's the visual of it for a stage thing or a parlor
Yeah.
thing of just a person coming up holding 120, but by the end, they're holding like
Piles of money.
piles of money, or you're holding piles of money and they're holding
Right.
a $1 and they can go back to their seat or something.
Right.
Like it could provide for a really funny comedy beats, but
It'd be
then
fun to do it. You say that. I mean, I always love making these like chewy routines, which is not the way people think today. But this is me. This is my museum
yes,
of magic is
yes,
to make these routines kind of as big and chewy as possible. So if you're getting somebody up, something's really happening.
yes,
You need to get like three people up, each with a 20, put
yes,
them each in chairs, and then you go and you count out change for the first guy. You do it a certain way,
yes.
and then you take his 20. And then you go to the second guy and you count out change. And you say, did you notice wasn't watching closely? You count out change for that guy. You do it a different way and you give him the money. And then you count out change. So you're doing three different versions of short change.
That's
And then they
cool.
all end up with something wrong, or they're all evaluating what they had. And then there's some kind of blow off, some sort of finish for it,
That's
with
really cool.
maybe that all their 20s are gone as well.
Well, it'd be an interesting like chaos type
Right.
interactive almost effect where if there were moments where it's like, why don't you just take any three bills you have and change it with someone next to you? And
Right.
everybody's just watching all this happen. And
Right.
now you keep pulling out your wallet and adding, or
Right.
isn't there like the pennies thing where if you just take a penny from the middle and add it to the outer nine piles and it still adds up to,
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I have put in an impossibilities, a version of it called the Bermuda Triangle, which was it in a triangle, and about how ships disappear in the triangle. And it's a mathematical thing. Yeah, there are things like that that are super hard to demonstrate on stage.
yes.
Um,
An interesting visual though would be if it costs $20 to come on stage. Who has a 20? Come
right,
on up, three people sit,
right,
and then
right.
you say, but we need smaller bills. So here, let me give you this. And clearly they're shortchanged. The next person you shortchange in a different way, and the third person even more clever, maybe. Like you give them a
Yeah, there's
card.
some blow off with the third person or maybe they end up with the other people's money.
Yes. But what would be cool is throughout the routine, I don't know what the routine is, but
Yeah,
it is like primed for comedy and throwing away and mixing and everything. If at the end everybody had these different piles to say, here's what I want each of you to do. We've demonstrated a lot today. Count all of the money you have.
right,
If you have $20, go sit down.
right.
And then you just see all three people
Get
like
up.
leave the stage.
Right,
Then you get like the hit at the end, like how the hell did that end up working out? Like,
right, right. Yeah, yeah.
that could be cool.
If you wind up with, or if you wind up with more than 20, you can take it back with you
Oh,
or
that's
something.
cool.
Yeah.
And everybody ends
No, no,
up
no.
going,
But it's great. Yeah, it's what's great is that whole thing that it's in their hands at the end. Because the other thing is it's apparent to them that they're being shortchanged in some way.
mhm.
But then, yeah, I have to go back and look at that shortchange routine.
It would also be funny if like there was a dual reality going on to
Yeah,
where you did all of this stuff and then you said to them, if you have more than $20, you are now more than welcome to go sit down.
right,
And what the audience doesn't realize is two people have like $21
right,
and they go sit down. And then you ask the third person, you say, how much do you have? And they're like, I have $1.
right,
So
right,
then you're like, here, I'm going to give you $20 just for
right,
all your help. You can have a seat.
right,
So it's like the trick costs you $3 to do,
right, right,
but the audience thinks that these people are going back with like loads of cash.
right.
That would be funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's a really good premise, and um, I agree with you. That's a week of work,
Yes, yes, yes. We
but it
can't
is.
finish
It
that with
is.
41 minutes left.
No, I know, but it's a really good premise. Um,
I like it with Monopoly money too. I mean,
well,
that
it's
like
so innocent, and I mean, close up wise, it's so nice because they're different colors. Um,
let's jam on Monopoly money because that just feels like a thing that, easy to either have around the house or a PDF to print your own. You can literally print your own money.
Very easy to print your own. You can print it on cardstock,
Mm-hmm.
a paper cardstock, which is also what I've done. These aren't, but then you can kind of handle them like index cards.
Yeah.
Um, which are index cards. So now they're like, you can actually handle them like cards.
Love
And
that.
they would work well with, depending on the colors and everything, like a peak deck, or any
Mm,
kind of short deck or short pairs for forces.
that's cool.
In other words, that would translate really easily to anything that you do with an index card.
And what's your in with Monopoly money? I mean, to your point with the six card repeat, it's so good and there's no story. It's like, is the Monopoly money like you carry it around because I got to tell you about the craziest game of Monopoly I ever played. Like just
Right.
and then you're in.
Well, I did a couple of years ago. I've done, some routines with bills where you use phony bills and you say, I'm going to demonstrate. I want to show you this with bills, but rather than using real money, which is all the same color, I want you to be able to notice that, you can tell a 10 from a 20,
Yeah.
money. And so that you're doing it deliberately like that, or you can make a joke about it, how, I can demonstrate this, but the authorities have requested that I don't do it with real money.
I got in a lot of trouble for doing this trick
Yeah.
with
So
real money.
I can do this, but I have to do this with Monopoly money. Okay.
Yeah.
So just imagine that I'm doing this with real dollar bills.
Well,
And it's a joke, and yet it also sets up the trick, you know.
I was gonna say though, a simple sentence like that. I love tricks with like movies with like bookends, but like a simple one line sentence of that
Yeah.
like is just begging in my mind for like whatever the trick ends, you just go like this and it's a real 20
Real
or
dollar
something.
bill.
It's a real one,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
and it's like, "Ugh, don't
Oh,
mention this to anybody."
no, you set up the payoff, so that works really well. Yeah.
Literally a payoff.
Yes.
That's good. Well, Monopoly too, what's the do not pass go, do not collect $200?
Oh, yeah.
Is there something with bringing out a bunch of loose and just it being
I
all or
mean, those
nothing?
cards are hugely annoying because they're kind of like business cards in that
Yeah.
game. But like all those lines would be funny for the patter
Yeah.
because you're right on the edge of saying any of that stuff at any time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's
No one
it's fun to
understands, no one understands Monopoly. My opinion is that no one ever really plays Monopoly. Monopoly is such a complicated game. I don't know, but yeah.
it's a game you get out a lot and start a lot. It's a
Yeah.
game you
And then you
very
stop
rarely finish.
and have dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, I played it a few years ago at my birthday, and a group of friends we were all playing it, and I asked the real question. I said, "I don't think I've ever finished this game.
Right.
How do you win?" And they
Yeah.
were like, "Well, someone either has all the money, or at some point we decide that we're quitting,
Right.
or you can put a timer on it," which that made sense too. Whoever has the most amount of money in a set amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the closest I ever came. We gave up eventually.
Yeah.
We didn't
Yeah.
finish it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Um,
So maybe like we're gonna play a quick game of Monopoly or because it's almost just begging just to be a trick with just the bills because
yeah, it is. I mean, it would be fun to do something with play money bills like that, game bills of different colors.
yep,
Um,
I get asked a lot. This is just like the age-old premise, but like I get asked a lot, can I cheat at cards or can I turn someone's one into 100? And I've gotten into a lot of trouble with doing magic with real money. So I carry this with me to demonstrate some of the things I maybe can do,
right,
you know?
right,
And then you pull out what, like five ones, a five, two tens, a 20.
right. And you do something with that involves, ostensibly making money in the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
I mean, nice to give them out too, because you could make those very cheaply, print those
Yeah.
up, and then
Or
keep giving bills out.
is it
Process.
like a simplified version if you hold out a 100, you split it into two fifties, you took the 50 and it split into two twenties and a 10, took the 10, split it into two fives, so you ended with this pile of money in their hand.
Yeah, I mean, again, the thing about that is that they can't evaluate how thick these bills are or how,
Yeah.
it's sort of like they're slightly weird things.
Yes.
Um, so I don't know if, you kind of want something that's like super clean in terms of how you're handling them and how you're adding the bills to them.
Yep.
But,
We've
That
got
is,
10 ones.
yeah,
Pull out 10 ones from your wallet. Count these.
right,
Here, count them. How many Monopoly bills do we have?
right.
This is 10. Right. So
So
if I
you give them a 10 for it and you take the bills
Mhm.
and now you find out that there are 15 in your hand.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So I mean, I think the secret to that, the thing that makes it tempting and believable is that you're always making money.
Yes.
No matter what you're doing, you're always gaining.
Yes. Or I wonder if it's like uh let's say I asked you for $10. Count these. How many's there? And they're like, there's 10 here. Okay, so I'm asking you for $10. Here's a 10. So
Yeah.
you carry 10 ones and a 10. Bad version, but just to get it
Yeah,
going.
sure.
You say, okay, can you break this 10 for me? And they hand you 10 ones and you hand them the 10. And now you count them and there's five bills or something. And you say, oh, you gave me only five. So here, give me that 10 and I'll give you these five, or like it'd be a confusing premise to figure out, but
Right.
that's the fun of it, I guess, is the confusion.
Yeah. It makes me think, just when I was saying about how the thickness of the bills is a disadvantage, it also makes me think it could be an advantage. You
Totally.
could do bills that are double thick, that are spray glued, that are double thickness of paper.
Yeah.
But like the old that Bert Allerton trick in Stars of Magic, Bamboozled, you could do some of the bills are like this. Some of the bills are one layer. So literally, if the person counts them from one end, they're going to get, and they're all going to feel consistent.
Yep.
You're actually putting trick bills in their hands, and they all feel consistent. But if you work at them from the other end, you can separate them and show individual bills.
That's great.
Now, I don't know where that goes, but it's pretty neat, like having a gaffed bill that, and of
Doesn't
course,
work.
the charm of it is they don't know how thick the paper is. So
Yep.
as long as they're all feeling consistent and they're all going through their hands consistently, they're fine with that. You're the one that's feeling different thicknesses of bills when you're adding to the count.
You would just have to count them differently unless they were like rough and smooth in a specific way that allowed you to spread them and they couldn't spread them.
Yeah, but there's that thing that people do with bills where they count them like this.
Yeah,
They fold them back. And of course, if you're doing this from different ends, you're guaranteed that that's what's going to happen.
that's great. I'm gonna make some bills.
Okay.
What are they? What's the rough size of the ones you have?
They're a little too small. Here's a playing card and here's a Monopoly bill. So it's narrower than a playing card
Is it
and it's
like
a
two by
little long.
four?
Oh, I got a ruler right here. Hold on. Hold on. They're Yeah, they're like two and an eighth. Why do they do that? Two and an eighth by four. Yeah.
Two by four.
Yeah.
So 8.5 by 11. You're getting like 10 per sheet, maybe.
Yeah.
I won't even measure it. I'll cut poorly.
Okay.
So uh yeah, that's really cool. I love being able to hand it to them and no moves happening. Like one, two, like
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are
Right.
for you. You give me the 10.
Right.
Or it's almost like two fives, maybe two fives and 10 ones. That way you have a little bit to play with.
Right. Right. It's kind of like it's going to benefit from other denominations and other colors moving
Yeah.
through.
Yes. So we're
Because
each going to start with 20.
right.
I've got 10 ones. You've got,
Yeah, I've got 10 ones and two fives.
yes.
And here's a $20 bill. And because the other thing is that, that thing of that established way of counting them, where you go like this, and especially if they have a fold in the center, you go like,
Yes.
and you're counting them, and then you get into different colors, and that's kind of like how bills are you can establish that that's how the bills are counted,
Totally.
and then you do it end for end, and it's going to count differently.
Would the inference switch naturally if you just handed them,
It should you should do that. Yeah.
right?
I
So
was
you
just playing,
count,
I was just playing with there's that great thing. It's with cards, is what I was just using it for. There's that great thing with the fan of cards where you take the fan and you close it,
oh,
and you've just turned it end for end.
so great.
Yeah.
So great. Yeah, I
And
think counting
that
money,
might also work with these, that you fan them in your hands and fan them out and you turn them over, you close the fan and give it to them.
I feel like you honestly wouldn't even need to close it because by you, if they're in front of you, if they're next to you, then yeah.
Oh
But
no, you're right. You're right, because they're literally in front of you. So
so
if you're handing them straight over, you're gonna be turning them end for end.
you're
Yep.
doing the switch, which is
Yep.
kind of cool. Maybe I'll do playing cards since they're easier. They're all the same size.
You know what? Whatever we end up with, we're going to do something that's going to end up on card stock. So you might as well, because they're easier to handle right now. Yeah,
Well, then if we
I've
did
got cards here too.
the short, this is a really poor mock-up, but red will be ones, maybe.
Okay.
And then blue is, what do you say, fives?
Yeah. Yeah. Ones and fives should be okay.
Right. This is super cool. And then I'll just use double stick for a quick. But
You
what's
know,
nice about the paper that the cards don't do, I mean, this is because I don't want to print Monopoly money right now. But I love what you're saying. You can literally bend it, you know,
yeah.
whereas playing cards don't really do that. So it's two fives, and then the color is also really great. All right.
Okay.
And last one. And we are at just reached the halfway mark. So this is super fun. This is
Okay.
perfect. Good
All
pace.
right. Tell me.
So, oh, you know what? I might have done that wrong, upside down, because you want to be able to count them. Shoot. I'll just because you want to be able to go one, two, three, four, five, six. But I did it the opposite way.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Well, I'll just do this for now.
Right.
So let's say I've got a stack of 10 ones and two fives, or maybe you don't even say it. I got a stack of bills. Let's count them. That's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10.
Yeah.
10 ones and two fives. I'm
Right.
going to hand those to you. And then you would then pull out what, a 20, I guess?
Right. Yep.
A third color. What we got here? Um, Here. I have a 20.
Okay.
So you're holding these, and I just did this. So if I hand them to you and you're like this, then you would count them as this just turned into $10
Right.
instantly, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you're now holding 10 and I have a 20. The goal would be what? For me to make money, right?
Yes.
So I would say, or maybe this is a 10. So we've got uh
Well, you could also keep putting money back into the pile,
yeah.
which would give us a chance to screw with what that combination of bills is.
Yeah, you keep pulling out.
Yeah, you say, oh well, it's just because somewhere you've lost $3. Look, I'll give you another $3, and I'll
Yes.
count. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So maybe I'll start with two tens. I start with two tens, but I have my wallet like next to me.
right,
So you pull out this, and it looks like a wad of cash. You say, I'll give you the 10 ones and the two fives. And so we each start with 20,
right,
basically. So you give me the ones, which should be 10. right?
Yeah.
And I'll give you the 10. You say, perfect. So now I should have 20 and you should have 20. But if we count, I have five, I have 15. So actually, you owe me another five.
Right.
You hand me one of those fives.
Right.
Maybe they're separated. You hand me a five. Okay, great. So now that should leave you with 20 and I have 20. And they count and now they have 15.
Right.
You say, oh, here, you know what? Let me give you five more out of my pocket.
Right.
So you should have 20, I should have 20. Here, let's break this even more. I want to get rid of my other 10. Can you give me change for my 10? One, two, three, four, five, and a five. So now you have 20 and I have. So basically, at the end, would the end goal would be for them to end with two tens and you to end with just like $100 somehow?
Yeah, I know. I know. No, they get even and you've made a huge pile of money.
That's a cool ending.
That is a cool pile of money. That is
The,
neat.
the other
Yeah.
thing you have going for you with Monopoly money is if they're counting, I mean, there's something nice about you counting like this,
Right.
right? And then them counting like that, and it's different. But also pretty simple, I would think, to make double facers,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So like,
You almost want them to be printed on both sides, actually.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
that way it's believable. But I mean, if in the act of counting yours, you changed, like it just automatically changed for you, that
Right.
would be nice.
Yeah, there are those great moments in a routine like this too, where that suddenly you can do that count. You can do that count where you're displaying them all because
Yes,
you've just gotten to the point where you're even with it now, and now you're going back to the false counts.
yes,
Yeah.
that's a great moment. This is like the end goal, I feel like, is a visual that looks like
Yeah, where it's all crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like blues, reds everywhere, and they've got $20
Yeah.
supposedly. And you say, okay, great. I think this worked out. And this
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting. It's getting very close to six card repeat like, but the other plot for it would be that you every time, they give you $20. When you count it, you have 22.
hmm
Take two out and drop it somewhere. And then you count it again and you have 22. And you take two out and drop it somewhere. You count it again and you've got 22. And
Yes,
so you're basically building up this mass of money that you end up with, a big pile of money at the end. And all you've been doing all the time is always had $20,
that's
which is a
great.
different trick, which is a different trick than what we're talking about. But yeah, it's the same kind of idea
That's
of,
really fun.
of sort of turning that thing into a short change trick.
The other thing where my head goes, like, because I know you're really good at math, I would assume, but I am not.
I'm only good at magic math. How's that?
Is there a dumb version of this? Also thinking about something that could be written up, and easily carried.
Yeah.
Is there a version of this where it's five ones and a five,
Mhm.
and that's how you start?
Yeah.
So I don't know how that math works out, but you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay. So I've got five ones and a five. I've got extras in my pocket that they don't know about. Those could be fives, ones, or whatever. With the end goal being that they still have five at the end,
Right.
and you now have a crap load, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
Um,
pretty neat. It makes me think I did the thing a while ago because that whole thing about the six card repeat was, so the original count was the glide count where
mhm.
you'd pull the card back and then you take all those cards on one beat. And then later people started doing the buckle count, which is better. But buckle count is weird. It's that thing where you pull one corner back. And I was
Mhm.
playing with once bending this corner.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, actually putting a bend in it and then correcting it with ink so you don't see the
Oh
crack.
wow.
But the thing about that is if you get that on the bottom, that's a really nice card to buckle count. One, two, three, four, five. Because what you're doing is you're just pulling that corner back and
Automatically.
holding it. And it's really easy to handle. And the nature of that count is that it puts that card back on the bottom again. So you could have other denominations in there. You could have fives in there. You could have 5, 10, and I'm sorry, you kind of one on the bottom. 5, 10, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just take a whole wad of bills in with that.
Oh,
So I just buckle counted a whole bunch of bills, and some of those could be fives as well.
different colors.
Yes, different colors. You probably
Different.
want white margins on them, but you could do the centers in different colors.
That's cool.
So it's dangerously close to the six card repeat, that handling of it, but it's like you've got a plot to it. You've got actually got something that's going on now,
Mm-hmm.
and you've
I
got a
love
way of
that.
introducing those other bills. Yeah,
So if you said, I'm just trying to think of the
yeah.
simplest. So this should be a straight swap then. If you
Mhm.
say, here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, however you count these,
Right,
they look like five.
right,
And then this is one. You hand it to them. You say, I'm going to demonstrate what I've figured out how to do, but I'm not allowed to do it with money. It's
right,
frowned upon. So I've got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bills, and you've got a five, and you ask me for change. How badly could this go wrong?
right,
So it's
right,
like, here you go. Trade for trade. Can you count to make sure that you only have five or whatever? Then it'd be great if they could just count them normally,
yeah.
but now there's like
7,
seven.
yeah.
And
Both
some of these are double facers. So some of these are actually like
right,
that
right.
for later.
Have fives on the backs. Yep,
Yeah. So seven. Oh, I must have given you too much.
right,
Can you give me two back?
right,
So they give you two back, right?
right.
It would also be interesting if this could change from a five to a one.
Yeah, yep,
So so you have seven there. You gave me two extra. Or I gave you two extra. Just give me those back. One, two. Great.
right.
So hold on. I'm going somewhere with
I don't
this.
know where you're going. All I know is that each of those cards is getting really thick.
Yeah, but
That's okay.
if,
Go ahead. No, 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 that's okay. No, we can do them in the right thickness. Don't worry about that.
if we print them, they'll be the
Hmm.
right thickness. And I
That's
like
right.
what you were saying. Monopoly money with a white border is great, and a
It
layman
is.
would have no
Right.
frame of reference for that.
That's right.
So they just counted seven, and you got five. Oh, here, give me two back. Great. So that would leave, and then whatever. Oh, wait, no, I only have three.
Right.
You're supposed to give me, and then they count. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Now, what's happening would be funny if you did a flip again.
Well, yeah. If you start ending up with the fives,
Yes. Yes.
yes.
That would be hilarious because then you just end up with so much money. That would be, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
If this whole thing, this kind of starts to feel like printing on demand or like,
Yep.
some of those
Yep.
packet tricks where if at the end you ended up with like five fives and
Yeah.
they ended up with five ones, or they ended up with a five and you ended up with all blues
Right.
and they ended up with three reds or something.
Right, right. No, yeah, I mean the goal of it would be that in all of the change with the ones, that suddenly what you got out of it was the fives back again.
Yeah.
So that you've ended up with like all the kind of all the bills that actually meant anything.
Yeah. And it'd also be nice. I mean, a bonus. We're talking about a trick that could also potentially need a week to figure out the the math on.
Welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. See, this was the curse. I knew I was going to screw this up because
No, 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 no.
everything I do, it ends with going, yeah, that might work. Let's think about this for the next week. Yeah,
Here was a great thing that I got out of. I mean, I got so much out of every one of these episodes, but it
yeah.
would kind of be cool if each episode built on itself.
Right.
Jay Sankey said something interesting on our episode. He said sometimes when he's playing with an idea, he says to himself, "What's the version I would do tonight?" Or "What's the version I
Oh
would
yeah,
do
yeah.
tomorrow?" Knowing that that's not the end.
Right, right.
It's just like, what's the quick and dirty to test? Or I'm gonna be around a group of friends tonight, and I kind of want to see like
Well,
if
the
they,
other thing what that does is it lets you start feeling what the beats are that are
yes,
interesting.
yes.
And like, I mean, I don't hesitate saying this stuff, but of course it's all built on BS when I say it. When I say, oh, what an audience really finds interesting is the short change aspect of it. Well, I think that's right. I don't, but but of course, what you want to do is put it in the hands of somebody, and I'm always dependent on other performers to do this. Put it in the hands of somebody to do it, and they do it, walk around, 20 times a night, and then the next day you say, so what are people saying?
Hmm.
Are they interested in this? Did they catch this? When you pull out the bills, what are they asking about? Do they want to see them? So like you want to start feeling what all the beats are and what people are chewing on, and
Hmm.
then you build on that. So yeah, there is a reason to do a quick version of it and stick it in front of people.
All
Uh,
right.
but also to research something that actually is a routine that feels like it's a real routine.
So let's say for a quick version
Okay.
that we
Yeah.
have a series of double, like because the bill would really be uh one on both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
So we
Yep.
have a few of those.
Yep.
So I'll make three of those just for play's sake, you know.
Mhm.
So I got three double backers, which red represents one for this experiment.
It says I have an uneasy, queasy feeling now that we are coming back to a trick that I actually produced and marketed called Bunko.
Wait, what? Is it with cards? Is it with
It
Monopoly
was
money?
with money.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
with bills, and
And
they
what
were
was the trick?
double-sided, and it was all false counts. All through it, it was false counts.
Okay.
No, no, keep going.
Okay.
It's not this version. It's not this trick. But
Well, stop us if we
was
get too close.
it was double. It was bills with different denominations on the
Oh my
opposite.
gosh. So for sake of ease,
I've forced you to come up with Bunko.
this is the ultimate prediction effect if you did that.
Got it.
So blue, blue, uh red.
Oh, red, blue. Yeah.
Yeah. Need more blue cards.
I do like the little cardstock bills, the small bills though, of double-sided like this. That's a really attractive little prop.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like
Agreed.
yeah.
It'd be nice if the simplicity of it was that of like here. So and again, this is like working a trick backwards, but it's just out of okay, 12 minutes. This is the necessity of getting a version, and that's the fun challenge of it, you know? Okay. So now working at it from a different angle,
Yeah.
what like the challenge would be like, I give you these gaffs right now. Try to do a trick with them, you
Right.
know? So let's say you start with you've got three red blues
Hmm.
in your pocket, and you've got five double regular cards.
Hmm.
Oops. And then you start with one uh blue. That's a blue red, I guess.
Hmm.
So these are in your pocket. Oh, but we said, hold on. I like just the simplicity of getting out of the gate with a false count or something.
Yeah, it'd be great to not to feed those fake cards in and
Yeah.
not them. Yep.
So maybe you're feeding uh yeah, because in that count, whenever you shove them in, you're not seeing an area of the card, right?
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
It'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be great to start clean and end clean.
yes, it'd be gorgeous. Or
Not get both of those.
wishful thinking.
I know.
So um let's say, well, if you started clean, you'd start with one
One
real
blue.
five.
Yep. Yep.
You've got one real five and five
Right.
bills, which you could technically start something like this.
Right.
So it looks like you're starting clean.
Right.
Um, and then you do your count. So it's one, two, three, four, five.
Right.
Hand it to them, and I've got my five.
Hmm.
So I would like to trade you. I'd like to make change for my five. There we
Hmm.
go. Or I make change. So here, I just gave you these five. Count them again. One, two, three, four, five, six. Oh, seven. Here, you know what? Give me those two back because
Right.
I overpaid you.
Right.
So that should leave me with how many? Or you would want to be able to risk kill this one. So give me two back.
Okay.
Whatever that move is,
Right.
you owe me two. Okay. One, two.
Right.
And then if you flipped it over again, I don't know what's about to happen, but
Right. I know. We'll find out. Five, six, seven, eight, nine.
oh, I owe you four then.
Right.
Here, can I just give you a
Let me
five?
give you five, and you take one.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So that would leave me with
Nine. Exactly.
nine.
Yep.
Oh, so do I owe you four? Or here, I'm just gonna give you five, you give me one.
Right.
It'd be nice if it was the same exact thing every time.
Yeah, exactly. That you're and it is.
And it is.
Yep.
Okay, great. I've got my five, and you've got your
15.
whatever, we'll call it even.
Yeah.
So what's nice is somewhere in here, I didn't have to add anything from my pocket.
Right.
Somewhere in here is a trick.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah. We've just invented the most painful packet trick on earth.
No, if it was Monopoly money though, and
You're
you
right.
and you pulled it out, that's
Yeah.
interesting. At one point, it can all become so.
Okay. I need to analyze this. I need to really analyze this trick.
Okay,
I mean, like my head, or my head's going to explode.
okay, here we go. So we
Mhm.
have
Okay.
five ungimmicked cards.
Yep.
Okay,
Hmm.
and then we have three
Yep.
heavily gimmicked
Yeah.
double situation.
Yeah. And then you have one regular.
No,
Oh, that's it. That's the whole thing.
that's it. Kind of nice.
Okay.
So,
We need a
like
really
you were
nice
saying, it'd be
handling.
nice if you could
We need a
start
really
clean.
nice
And
handling to show those fives.
yes, this would be an easy way to do.
Exactly. There's a you're yeah, we'll get there. Yeah. But
We
we need
got one, two, three, four. So you pull it out like this,
Right.
Maybe you, oh, hold on. Okay. So I got it.
Okay.
One, two, three, four, five, and then a five. Okay.
Okay. I haven't passed judgment on that. Go ahead.
So one, two, three, four, five. Now this is a stack that you can show as one, five.
Okay.
So now it's done it for you. If I keep my five, I'm going to give you the one, two, three, block, push off, five.
Yep.
Great. So uh, count yours to make sure I gave you the right amount. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven.
Right.
Oh, I overpaid you, right? So
Yep.
give me two back. One, two. There's only one move you would need to come up with for this whole routine to work, and it's being able to secretly flip this over
Yeah.
because this is bad, but it's
Yeah,
like,
I know, which is awful, but we're not doing it with cards, we're doing it with bills. So we could figure this out.
yep. So if you had a five here
Yeah.
and they gave you two ones, right? So five and two ones, then you could go like this. Oh, wait, I still only have three. That means you owe me two more. So they give you two more. One, two. And now you count. One, two, three. Oh, I have nine. But if I have nine, that means I owe you four. Here, I'll give you a five. You give me one. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh, wait, I have nine. I owe you four. Here, I'll give you five. You give me one.
Right.
Great. Maybe you pick it up from the table like this, and now you just count them.
Yeah.
Great. I've got my five, and you've got your, oh, whatever. We'll call it even.
These bills are just of a size. I mean, if we do this right, where you've got them really nicely in your hand. I mean, you could pick those up and point to their bill, bring it
Ooh,
back. That you can't just do a turnover that boldly, but you could do this, bring it forward, and point to their bill, and then straighten it as you come back again.
that's great.
Really straightening it.
It'd be nice if they were a couple of ways. So you weren't doing the same
Yeah,
move
yeah,
three
you've got a
times.
couple little moves like that, and they fall tighter than cards do, which
They
is
look
really
they look
yeah.
way better because this is a little wider, right?
Yeah, I know. You can't quite do that stuff with cards.
So what one move you say? So you've got that, which leaves me with you count them.
Right,
Another time, right after they count them, you could pick them up.
right,
So that's
right. Yep.
and you only need to do it three times. So maybe
Only need to do it 3 times. Yep.
there's just one more move where like it'd be interesting if you just counted them from the bottom or like,
Well, the last move you can always do that. The last one you can always do. Let me show you the other side as well. Look, one, I'll count them from the other direction, so you see both, so you see all of them. In other
now
words, you can always change the rhythm of it to make a point. Yeah.
now here's me being a dummy, but
Mhm.
like this is how it starts, right?
Yeah.
And you basically are like you can show this maybe.
Here's what's going to happen, I think. Like, I think you're not going to get away really with the triple lift. You're gonna show that both sides quickly, drop it on top, and then spread that single card off, and you see the red. So basically, what you've just done is you've just showed that it's one thickness. You've just
That's
dropped the blue
great.
card on top, and then you take it off and show that it's one thickness.
So here's my dumb question for you.
Yeah.
Because I love the what's the old the three card Monty with the red and the blue and then at the end it says like yo you $15.
Right.
So is there a way of doing this makes sense where I'm going with this.
Yeah, some cheesy finish.
Some cheesy finish where, where this is like 100 or something. So you get everything we just talked about. So it's like one, two, three, four, five, and then there's the five. So count one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Oh, seven. And that leaves me with this one. So you owe me two.
Right.
So with mine, that should add up correctly with yours, right?
That's right. Yep.
Oh, no, I only have three. So that means you owe me two more.
Right.
So I think you would have to pick those two, which is
Okay.
unfortunate,
Right.
unless they counted them to reverse the count.
Yeah.
But then you get maybe this move. Nope, not yet.
Yep.
Oh, wait, now I have nine. So here,
Right.
I'll give you a five and you owe me one.
Okay.
So that should all add up, right? Oh, wait, I have nine. So if I give you this, you give me one, right?
Right.
Two, three, 404. Yes.
Right.
Like I owe you that. There. I've got my five and
Right.
you've got your $110.
Right. Right. Now, what's the status of those bills? They're all the three that they have in their pile are all faked, right? They all have other stuff on the other side.
Yep. Now here's like we could fix this whole thing if because you said at the beginning, which is the better premise, you show how you could make money.
Yeah.
If it could end like this, right?
Right. Then they all have unfaked bills, don't they?
They have perfectly examinable five bills,
Right.
and you have made $105,
Right.
which
Right.
is funny, you know.
Yes. Yes.
So all you would have to do is at the beginning do what am I doing? This? You would just do it, but you'd count it to yourself, I think. So you would say, here's five ones and then a five. So let's say I've got a five and those are your five ones.
Right.
So uh we would exchange and you would count two, three, four, five, six, seven. Oh, and then just do the trick backwards.
Right. Well, you could say, "Oh, I accidentally took too much.
Took too
I'll, let
much.
me let me take $2 away from that." Yeah.
Yep, let me take two away.
Right.
Great. So that should add up now. Oh no, I only have three. So
Yeah.
you owe me two. One, two. Okay. That
Right.
should work because that does yours. Oh, yours don't add up because that would mean
You
I'd
have to
have
watch that you might have to do a cut there to cut
because
that
of the color.
in because of the color shift when you turn it
Yep.
over. Yeah, but that's
Yep.
okay. It's all right. Good.
So then I'll give you a five,
Right.
checking.
Yeah.
This now works with that move
Okay.
on top. So that you're good.
Yep.
Oh, wait. Here, I'll give you this. So now we should be good. Oh, wait. Here. There we go.
Yep.
So I made $105 and they can count theirs.
Right. And you got your $5 bills.
And
Yep.
this is $9.95 available on jimsteinmeyer.com and
Oh God.
or
I
free
just
in Genie
I just
Magazine.
remember what it was like printing those bills, those colored bills, because they were in different colors. So exactly for this reason. But these smaller bills would be very neat to do actually.
Yeah.
And what the secret would be white borders, like you say. It would be neat to have a bunch of them because you want to give the five bills away at the end.
Yeah.
You want to give, you're giving them all the unfaked bills. So,
That's cool.
yeah, yeah,
That's really cool. So
yeah,
all you need with this expertly developed, fully finished routine.
They have yeah, they have your phone number on it on your website. Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm just kidding.
Monopoly, Monopoly, if or
Available
QR
for
code.
private parties
Yeah.
and weddings. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But this is pretty simple. There is a sequence in
There
here
is a sequence in there. Yeah.
with that.
That's, yeah, absolutely.
So what I would probably do, that's exactly the time.
Okay.
That's been 1 hour. It feels like it was just 5 minutes.
I know it was. I know. I appreciate you soldiering through all that stuff.
I appreciate you doing the same with me, man. This is so fun, and it did exactly what we talked about.
Okay, good.
This is really cool because what I'll
And I said
probably
six card repeat. I was hesitant saying six card repeat, but this is much cooler, much better, and it works as a perfect close up piece. Works across the table really well.
perfect close-up piece. What I would say is you get like I'll make a file that is like a file that prints off like this,
Yeah,
and then you cut it out and score.
yeah, and fold
And
it.
now you've got your one,
Yeah,
and then this one prints out like this, and you've got that. And if you want, you could hand these out,
yeah,
you know. And then as far as demoing this, I'll just figure out the slightly because those are the two moves. The one is the turn your hand over, which there's one time you can't do it, so a cut would be necessary.
right,
And then there's another move where you just pick up the cards off the table.
right.
Maybe for sake of the magazine, like if people want to find out variations, they can listen to us talk. But for the magazine, we just teach the hand turnover
Yep,
because it's just more consistent and you
yeah,
just do it 3 times, but one time you do a cut.
yeah. The two times you were doing it really worked, actually. That whole thing of pointing and then shifting it back as you come back. So it seems to be the same position.
And when you're telling the story, you're just
Yeah,
doing it in two piles and you are the pile that wins
right,
and they're the pile that just keeps their money.
right,
And then at the end, they can examine it.
right.
Done.
Right. You probably want to, rather than colors, well, I'm just thinking because of the printing, you might want to do like completely different designs of the bills, not just
Oh,
the way these are, because you'll probably print them in black and fold them over and paste them.
yeah.
They could be printed on cardstock.
Yeah.
You could print them right on cardstock and you wouldn't have to double them over. Anyway, all that's technical stuff. Yeah.
Well, if you did it on paper, then you would just print it and fold it. With cardstock, you'd have to line it up perfectly in your printer.
I know, which is hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah, just to make it simpler, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this was so much fun. Thank you for
Okay.
doing
Very
this.
neat.
This
Very
was,
neat.
it
Hey,
went
thanks.
super fast, and we accomplished it.
I know a trick in an hour. I gotta get better at that.
Well, this is like V1. I think we talked about much better versions along the way with the kicker ending of a real bill or 20s, 22. Like that's just way more math to figure out in under an hour.
I mean, at the point at which you're taking stuff in and out of your pocket and adding other bills to it, you have lots of opportunities to do stuff like that if you're going to go down that route.
So many.
But
And
there's something kind of amazing about putting just these bills out and doing it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you just carry them in your pocket and just
Yeah.
do this. But yeah, to your point, if you introduce stuff from your pocket, then you have the ability to probably start clean and end
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although giving them the five bills is really fine. I mean, if you end up with the 110 and you put it in your pocket and say those are all yours, but you're kind of fine.
This
You
is,
know,
in my mind, this is the perfect trick to put in the magazine because it's a finished trick. People could do it as is, but it is also an amazing starter for people who want to develop it further.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they've got the props and they can. Best of British luck to you. Yes.
Yeah. And they could print more files, like if they want to make it more
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing.
All right.
This has
Hey,
been
thanks,
Inventing
Mike. This has been
Magic
fun.
with
Yeah.
Jim Steinmeyer, episode 5. Holy smokes, total
All
win.
right. Developing new muscles. I'm developing new muscles.
Thank you for doing this,
Hey,
Jim.
thanks a lot. Thanks for doing this long term and short term and everything else. Thanks,
Check out
Mike.
the magazine and
Okay.
thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.